This is the Diamond Hogs Podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
Welcome to the Diamond Hogs Podcast. I am your host, Mason Choate, joined as always by Robert Stewart and producer Christian. Okay, we got a lot to get to today. We're going to talk about the SEC tournament, specific scenarios for Arkansas, how they could play what teams. Really, what I want to know is how can they play Tennessee, which would be make the championship game. So that would be good, especially for us. We're going to be in Hoover, so it would be nice to stay all the way through, watch the championship game. That would be sweet, especially Arkansas, Tennessee. I feel like that's the dream matchup all year long. And in college baseball, Arkansas, Tennessee, that's what people want to see. And there's a possibility. I don't know how realistic it is, but we will talk about that. And we're going to get to all of that. Busy week, excited about this week. And we're excited to put out all the content we can. And that is possible thanks to people like Matt Morris State Farm. You might know that University of Arkansas alum and State Farm agent Matt Morris has great service. He's your good neighbor after all. But did you know State Farm has surprisingly great rates too? I know this personally because I use State Farm. I'm a big kid. I pay for my own car insurance and I use State Farm. And along with good neighbor service, State Farm agent Matt Morris has surprisingly great rates for everyone, not only in the central Arkansas area, but in all of Hog Country. So you can call him at 501-568-3222 for your surprisingly great rates today. And I'm going to be honest, guys, like the rates are awesome at State Farm. They're better because I was trying to quote everything like where can I get the best car insurance? And I just tried to get a quote on State Farm. And then they called me and they were like, here's what we can do. And it was way better than anybody else. And if you're a student, you can get the good student discount as well. And you can also get the drive safe and save discount. So if you're driving safe, you get a discount as well. They grade your trips. So like every time you get in your car and drive, you get a grade. And so if you drive good, then you save money. And that is only possible if you use State Farm. So call Matt Moore, State Farm, 501-568-3222. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants are subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. Okay. Robert, you want to do Southern Lawn Service?
Yeah, that sounds awesome. You know who else sounds awesome? Awesome is our friends at Southern Lawn Service. They're back for Hoover. We're very excited to have them. They specialize in landscape maintenance for apartment complex communities and industrial sites in the central Arkansas area. They do landscape projects for residential and commercial of all sizes. So if you need drainage solutions, new installs, landscape remodel, landscape design, hardscapes such as retaining walls and paver patios, then Southern Lawn Service has you covered. They also sell bulk landscape supplies to the public: mulch, dirt, gravel, landscape rock, sod. If you need any of those and more, give them a call at 501-514-3463, or you can go see them on site. They're located at 1 Lee Road in Conway. Again, their number is 501-514-3463. Thank you, Southern Lawn Service.
All right. Okay, let's get into the bracket. I'm going to try to pull it up on the YouTube. If you're watching, then I'm going to pull the bracket up. Let me see. Let me pull it up. Share screen. This one. Share. Okay, can you guys see this? Can you guys see my screen? Okay, cool. So this is the bracket for the SEC tournament. Sorry if you're listening. We'll just speak it out. So Arkansas, they play 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday. Winner of Georgia, Alabama. So
scheduled to play 9:30.
Do what?
Scheduled to play at 9:30.
Oh yeah.
There's some weather issues we may have to deal with.
Yeah, potential weather could happen, but we're just going to go based off of what the schedule says, Robert. So just don't ruin that, please. You always ruin everything. And
I'm just making you're using the correct verbiage. Scheduled to is important.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Arkansas is scheduled to play at 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday against the winner of Georgia, Alabama, who are scheduled to play at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday. So this is a tough draw for Arkansas because you're either getting Alabama, who just beat you, made you look silly, or you're getting Georgia, who's a good team, but they've been on a really, really bad streak. Didn't they just lose to Missouri to end the year?
They did. They walked off the last game, but they lost the two games before that, and it was at home too. I mean, that was a big opportunity for the Dogs to make some noise, feel good going into Hoover, but to lose to now the second worst team in the SEC, that's not a way you want to go out at home.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, like, how do you guys feel about either one of these teams? Like, I don't think Arkansas wants to play Alabama again. Maybe they do get revenge. But at one point in this season, Georgia was a really good baseball team, like top 15 team. This is a team to watch out for, like dark horse to make it to Omaha. And now they made this. They came in second place in the East, right? Am I right?
Yes, but barely. I think they won the tiebreaker over Florida at 15-15. Both teams were 10 games back at Tennessee.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that in bracket 1 on the left side with Georgia, Alabama, Florida, South Carolina, Arkansas, and Texas A&M, I feel like that side is much easier than the other one, personally. Tennessee's not on that side. That's pretty obvious. LSU's playing really hot right now. It feels like they've won all but one series since they left Fayetteville, including a sweep in Nashville against a really good Vanderbilt team this past weekend.
Speaking of which, Vanderbilt is still ranked number 5 in the RPI.
Are they really?
Hold on. Okay, I got to pull this up because this honestly kind of blew my mind.
How do you get swept at home and not drop out of the top 5?
After all of the RPI talk that we've done as far as Arkansas goes, so this is from Noah Benaik. I probably said that wrong. It's at 77NB on Twitter. He said, is Vanderbilt a good example to expose RPI with non-conference home weekend series against Oklahoma State, Army, and Wagner, and one series at Hawaii? How is Vandy ranked 5th in the RPI? They also have a losing record in the SEC and are 7-15 versus top 25 teams. And they're number 5 in the RPI.
I don't know. Do you remember Eric Musselman's rant about the net rankings? Like, I feel like it's similar.
It is. It's very similar. Because it's just a flawed system that they shouldn't.
What is that thing?
Yeah. What the heck is RPI? I mean, like, I get why Arkansas's RPI is low. That makes sense. You played these in-state teams who are just not good. Their non-conference out-of-state teams ended up being worse than they expected. That's how it went. But those numbers I just read for Vanderbilt, they should not be the number 5 team in the RPI.
Right. I mean, I don't know all of the scores from this past series in Nashville. Christian, maybe you could check those for us. But I feel like at least 2 of the 3 games, LSU curb stomped Vanderbilt. Like, they scored 11 runs in the 8th inning in Saturday's finale. They won 21-10, something crazy like that. How do you not drop out of the top 5 after that?
I don't know. Maybe they're valuing a road series win at Arkansas that much, which wouldn't make sense because Arkansas is ranked low in the RPI. So why would it matter?
I mean, I'm sure Arkansas's home series loss killed their RPI.
Yeah. Christian, do you have those scores pulled up yet?
Yeah, they lost 13-2, 8-3, and 21-10.
Like I said, curb stomped.
Yeah.
Geez, 21 runs. That's even worse than Arkansas gave up to Alabama.
Yeah, 11 came in the 8th.
Wow. Oh, those 6-run innings against Alabama felt like they were forever and terrible. Imagine giving up 11 runs in an inning.
Imagine scoring 10 runs, thinking that's a good number to have, and then giving up more in one inning alone.
Yeah, that's another one of those situations where, like, we talked about it in our Bama recap, but it's like Arkansas did not lose those games at the plate. And I'd have to guess LSU probably didn't lose that game at the plate either. They scored 10 runs. I'd say like 8-9 times out of 10, if you score 10 runs, you're probably winning the game. Would you say that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a tough weekend for Vanderbilt's pitching, clearly.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because they threw a 2-hit shutout the week before, but
yeah. Well, it was against Arkansas. So speaking of Arkansas, let's talk about this bracket one. So your top 2 seeds, Texas A&M and Arkansas. And then your bottom 4. So you got the 6th seed Georgia playing the 11th seed Alabama. Winner of that plays Arkansas, as we mentioned. And then 7 seed Florida playing 10 seed South Carolina. Winner of that plays Texas A&M after the Arkansas game on Wednesday morning. So, Robert, you kind of mentioned it. I don't know. It's tough to say. It is a good side of the bracket. But if you look at the other side of the bracket, Arkansas beat Ole Miss. They beat LSU. They beat Auburn. They beat Kentucky. The only 2 teams they didn't beat was Vanderbilt and Tennessee. And then you look at this side of the bracket that Arkansas is on. They lost to A&M. They lost to Florida. They lost to Alabama. And then the other 2 teams, they didn't play them. So
Right. I'm not really thinking about like head to head during the year. I'm thinking about like who's hot right now. And it seems like the other side is hotter. But like you said, three teams that Arkansas lost to during the regular season. So, I texted you about this earlier in the week. A dream scenario in Hoover would be to beat those three teams on the way to the final, and then you could either get Vanderbilt and complete the revenge tour or get Tennessee, and the headlines would be incredible.
Yeah. That's tough. I mean, yeah, you're right. Ole Miss is really hot. LSU really hot. Tennessee, they've been hot all year. I mean, if Ole Miss beats Vandy in the first game in bracket 2, then they play Tennessee. That's going to be a great game. A hot Ole Miss team versus a hot Tennessee team. I mean, I know Ole Miss just lost the series to A&M, but A&M, I mean, A&M's right there behind Tennessee on like best in the SEC right now. So
Yeah, and on the topic of A&M, this gives you a great opportunity to get yourself back into the regional hosting conversation. We haven't talked about this, but D1 Baseball's most recent projection has the Hogs as a 2 seed in Stillwater. Oklahoma State is the 15 overall seed. But this is the first time we've talked about it all year that Arkansas is not projected to be a host. So, I mean, theoretically, you could beat Texas A&M twice en route to the SEC final, and
Yeah.
that would probably help your RPI. It would give you more wins over Texas A&M than they have over you this year, and you could be back in the conversation of hosting again.
Yeah. So I feel like that's another conversation to have. What is Arkansas? Because right now Arkansas is out of the regional according to D1 Baseball. They're playing in the Stillwater regional as the 2 seed. Oklahoma State's the 1 seed and the 15 overall seed. So, you think? I mean, like, how many games does Arkansas have to win in Hoover to get back in a regional hosting? Because I don't know. This is another thing. I put this out on Twitter. At some point, Arkansas, unless they just go 0-2 in Hoover and look absolutely terrible, I feel like if they win a game, maybe 2, they should definitely host for really just this reason, 2 reasons. One, because they won 38 games. They came in second place in the SEC West. Yes, they lost some series, but like that, they're playing in the SEC and they won 38 games. That speaks for itself. 2, Fayetteville is going to draw more fans than any other regional in the country because Mississippi State is not playing in postseason. That's just a fact. And at some point, like, do you think that the NCAA values that? A lot of people were in my mention saying, why would the NCAA value that? I think they do. That's a lot of money.
I think it's going to have to, and I mean consider too that they're thinking about having Auburn host. They're thinking about having LSU host. I saw Kendall Rogers from D1 Baseball tweet that LSU is the 17 seed right now. Those two teams both got beat by Arkansas. Those two teams finished lower in the standings than Arkansas. I think because Arkansas is currently on the outside looking in, I would say win 2 games in Hoover and they have a legitimate chance to host.
But
Just because going 500 in a very tough tournament is probably pretty impressive.
But then that just goes back to you talking about what teams are hot, because that matters too, right?
Yeah,
So
it does. And LSU's hot. It makes sense.
yeah. Let's talk about scenarios. So if Arkansas wins their first game that is scheduled for 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning, if they win that game, then they play Thursday 4:30 against the winner of Texas A&M and then whoever wins in Florida, South Carolina. So you could probably be playing Texas A&M on Thursday. That's a rematch. I mean, okay. This is so difficult because as I'm saying stuff, like so much is popping into my head because I'm thinking, okay, well, who starts the Wednesday game and then who starts the Thursday game against Texas A&M? And so I don't know. It's just so much to think about. And if Arkansas loses their first game scheduled for 9:30 a.m. on Wednesday, then they're scheduled to play at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday. So that would not be ideal for the Diamond Hogs podcast boys. I don't want to go to 2 straight 9:30 a.m. baseball games.
I don't know this for a fact, but I think that the 2 games that Mississippi State got run ruled in last year were both in the early slot.
Oh.
So, there is that possibility.
Well, if you go down that route, then it's like you can just make the argument of, well,
Arkansas is going to win it all.
yeah, Arkansas is going to win the national championship because Mississippi State did this last year. So, Christian, what do you think? Because I mean, you're going to get to watch it from home. So, do you even care?
It's gonna be fun for me regardless. I mean, I get 9:30 a.m. baseball, Hogs baseball on Wednesday, and then depending on what happens, I get to watch a bunch of games throughout the week and stuff. I will say this about Georgia and Alabama though. So I was looking at their schedules. Georgia, let's see. Georgia hasn't won a series since April 22nd, and that was against Bama.
Wow.
And then with Alabama, they haven't won a series since they swept Ole Miss the weekend of April 8th. So I think regardless of who we get, I think we have a good shot at getting through that first game at least with a W, and hopefully avoid that second 9:30 a.m. start.
Yeah. Well, okay. So, but Alabama just beat Arkansas, so they do have that series win. But
They
before
do.
that,
Yeah, they
hadn't
do.
won since they.
Yeah. Before that, yeah.
I don't know, man. Maybe Alabama was just playing as hard as they possibly could just to get into the SEC tournament. But you also have to think, well, now they're in the SEC tournament. So not only they were playing just to get into the SEC tournament. Now they're playing to make it into the regionals. So they're still going to be playing for a lot. In Arkansas, it's like, well, when they were playing Alabama, they're playing to continue to host and rankings and RPIs. Like that was important stuff at the time. And now Arkansas is playing like for a regional host. Like as of now, they're not going to host a regional. And
Right.
so,
I mean, we've talked about Georgia and Bama, limping into this tournament, so to speak. Maybe not Bama this past weekend, but in the second half of the SEC slate, Arkansas is 7-8. It's not like the Razorbacks are playing super impressively or anything. And yeah, I mean, like you said, Bama's still playing for its life. I mean, nothing really changes just because they're in a different ballpark now. You got to think now that Arkansas is on the outside looking in, maybe there's some added motivation there. I don't know.
yeah, it's a lot to think about. Do you guys want to stick to bracket one and then possible scenarios for Arkansas, or do we want to talk about the rest of the bracket for other teams? I think we should just stick with Arkansas right now.
Let's do our Arkansas predictions.
Are we doing predictions, or do we want to talk about like what can happen based on what? Because we only got 2 games deep.
Okay, let's keep on that track then.
Okay, so if Arkansas wins their first game and then they play in the 4:30 slot on Thursday against we'll just say A&M, the winner of A&M and whoever wins Florida, South Carolina. If they win that game, let's see, that's game 11, winner of game 11. Then they miss Friday. They get a bye on Friday, and then they play Saturday at noon, and then that becomes single elimination.
Think about all the arms you'd save by not playing Friday.
If you win your first 2 games, you're sitting pretty if you're Arkansas.
Now, the double elimination factor is not there in the semifinals, so I mean, it's still one and done. But as far as resting pitchers, it's pretty key.
Yeah. So let's say, okay, so if Arkansas loses game 1 and then they win it would be an elimination game at 9:30 a.m. on Thursday. Let's see, that is game 9. Then they would play Friday at 3 against the loser of whoever beats Arkansas and whoever wins the A&M Florida South Carolina game. This is a lot. Like you need to be looking at the bracket if you're listening to this right now.
Right.
So it basically, if Arkansas doesn't win their first 2 games, if Arkansas loses any of their first 2 games, they're definitely playing Thursday they're going to play Thursday at some point either way. But if they win one and lose one of their first 2 games, then they're definitely playing Friday.
Friday at 3 p.m. if they go 1-1 to start.
Yeah. Well,
if they go 2-0, they're off Friday. If they go 0-2, they're out.
Okay.
And what's your guys' ideal situation for who's starting? First
McEntire game 1.
McEntire?
You think?
I think you need to go up 1-0.
And McEntire right now is the guy that's going to let that happen.
Yep.
Okay. Because Dave Van Horn said they could start Wiggins, Smith, one
I
of those
remember
guys
the two options being Wiggins and Noland.
on Wednesday.
I think that's what he said in his last press conference.
Okay.
I think if he goes Wiggins, it'll be a short leash scenario there. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to going with Wiggins or Nolan game one.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, those are two guys that have started a lot. Do you think it makes a difference that it's like a neutral site game and not a road game? Because with Wiggins, that's he pitched well in Round Rock. I remember that. That's the only neutral site game he's pitched, and he pitched well against
Against the
Louisiana.
raging Cajuns of Louisiana.
Yeah, this is a little bit different, but I mean, it's the same concept of it's a neutral site game. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm with you, Robert. McEntire is the guy that you want to pitch if you want to win the game right now. That's what I think.
I mean, you think about it, you just beat Alabama. He just beat Alabama. I mean, if it's Georgia, then it's a team that hasn't seen him before. I suppose you can make the same argument and say that you want to save him for A&M should you get a game with A&M, but what if you don't get a game with A&M,
Yeah. Yeah. I think Nolan did really well against A&M last time, right?
I believe he did. He probably gave up no earned runs in 6 innings or something like that. Let me double check.
Okay. I mean, that would be I think if he has a track record of pitching well against them, because we know that Hagen Smith went like 3 innings, I think, maybe. And then Jackson Wiggins, I mean, we know what happened there. Five runs in before even getting 2 outs, right?
Right. Nolan went 6, gave up no earned runs. Hagen went 3, got pulled before recording it out in the 4th, gave up 1 earned run.
Yeah. There you go. Just don't throw Wiggins against A&M if that happens.
Right.
I think Christian, what? You got something?
Also, yeah, like if do we want to talk about lineup scenario too? Like Lenzilli's got to be in there, right? After this last weekend, he has to start every game moving forward, right?
Absolutely.
And
I think-
Stovall too, probably, depending on matchups.
As long as it's not a lefty, Stovall should be in the lineup.
Right. I think if and Dylan Leach should probably not DH regardless of what handedness the pitcher is. No offense to Dylan Leach though. I would think Webb has to hit second just based on Sunday. And then Lanzilli's been hitting cleanup, right? So keep him there. Moore's been okay out of the 3-hole, I think. Obviously Wallace stays at the top. You can figure out 5 through 9 from there.
Yeah, I agree. Gregory probably needs to stay in the lineup because he's
Gregory's 9. There you go. Figure out 5 through 8.
Battles is going to be there for sure. So then you're thinking, so you got 2 of your corner outfielders. You got all of your outfield. Slavens.
Battles, Turner, Slavens, and who else? Stovall or
Stovall.
whoever. If you put Slavens at first, then the DH.
Yeah. Stovall would be the DH in that situation.
No, I'm saying like Stovall at first. If Stovall doesn't play, then Slavens is probably at first, and you have a different DH.
Yeah, maybe Kendall Diggs.
Maybe Diggs, maybe Borfin. Maybe Borfin plays right and Lanzilli's the DH. I don't know.
Yeah, we didn't see much of Borfin, right? Over
He didn't. He pinch hit at the end of Saturday's game. That was it.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know, man. I was talking to a family member of one of the players, and after the 18-5 loss at Alabama, and they basically said like this team's pissed off and they're ready to play some ball games in Hoover. And so I think I was texting Hutch today, and it's like he said I would be floored if they make it to the championship game. And I said, this is what this family member said, and maybe it was the butt kicking they need against Alabama to go on a run. Like maybe this is where you just start a new season right now. It's postseason, the regular season's done. You start a new season. We don't know because all we know is what has happened recently, and Arkansas has looked really bad.
Yep. This is the beauty of North American professional sports is that you could be really good, you can fall off, and then you can figure it out when it matters most. I saw a lot of discourse about soccer in England the other day, and you have the most points at the end of the year and you're the league champion. No, playoffs are awesome. We're about to start watching some fantastic baseball. And, are the Hogs up for the challenge? We will see.
Okay. Let's get into what we think is going to happen. And before we do, I want to remind you, I'm going to stop sharing my screen also. Okay. Before we do, we want to remind you about Matt Moore State Farm. You can get good neighbor service and surprisingly great insurance rates at State Farm because State Farm agent Matt Morris is your one-stop shop located in Central Arkansas for the service you deserve at the price you want. Stop looking around. Quit it. Quit looking for quotes from other places. Just go to State Farm agent and University of Arkansas alum Matt Morris because he's ready to help those in the natural state. Call 501-568-3222 for your surprisingly great rates today. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants are subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. State Farm, Matt Morris State Farm. And I can hand up, I can say State Farm, amazing insurance. I have not had a problem. I just got a new car in March and I called them and it was like 5 minutes. It's like, hey, I'm getting a new car. I need to get my insurance set up before I drive it off the lot. And they were like, sounds good. Just call us when you got it. I called them. 30 seconds later, I was driving off the lot with full coverage. That easy with State Farm. So go to State Farm, Matt Morris State Farm, 501-568-3222.
And if you're in Central Arkansas and you need any sort of landscape maintenance, then call your friends at Southern Lawn Service. They do that for apartment complex communities and industrial sites. You need landscape projects for residential or any commercial project, they've got you covered. They do drainage solutions, new installs, landscape remodel, landscape design, hardscapes such as retaining walls and paver patios. And they've got bulk landscape supplies too. If you need mulch, dirt, gravel, landscape rock, sod, they've got you covered. Go see them at 1 Lee Road in Conway, Arkansas, or you can give them a call at 501-514-3463. Thank you to our friends at Southern Lawn Service.
Okay. Are we ready to make our predictions for what happens with Arkansas? How far they're going to go? Okay. Robert, what do you think? How many games are the Hogs going to win in Hoover?
All right. So I think that Arkansas is going to split 2 games with Texas A&M. That means that there are 2 possible scenarios. Either Arkansas wins the first and moves on to the semifinal, or so they would lose the semifinal to A&M. A&M will be in the title game. Or
A&M makes their way through the losers bracket and makes it to the semis. Okay.
Correct. Or Arkansas does that. So
I think that's doable. Yeah.
So that would be what? 2-0, 2-1 if they lost, and also 2-1 if they won. So they'd be 2-1 after Saturday, but the one could be the one that sends them home in the semifinals, or the one could be a double elimination loss, and so they'd be fine. They'd come through the losers bracket, play Tennessee, for the sake of saying, in the final. I can't say that I see Arkansas beating Tennessee, just based on everything I've heard and seen from the Vols so far. I mean, it's their tournament to lose, right? So
wait, so you think Arkansas makes it to the championship game?
Yes, they're either going to lose in the semifinal to Texas A&M or beat Texas A&M to make it to the championship game. Because they'll play. Let's see, they start playing in the second round, so they'll play A&M in the third round and the semifinal. It's just a matter of which one do they win. I think they're going to split with A&M.
Okay. Christian, did you want to go or do you want me to go? Okay. So I think Arkansas wins the first game, and then I'm not going to say A&M loses. I don't know. Maybe A&M does lose because they've got their super locked up, or at least a regional locked up, and then maybe they just get shocked by South Carolina. I don't know. This is tough. Okay, I'm just going to go for it. So Arkansas wins the first game, and then I'm going to say they win the second game, secure a spot on Saturday. No, I'm kidding. They're going to lose the second game, make their way to Saturday and lose it in the semis. I think that's what's going to happen. They're going to lose to A&M in the semis.
So A&M is going to beat them twice.
No. Yes. A&M is going to beat them twice. Yes.
Okay.
That's because I want to have an optimistic mindset. I want to say Arkansas is going to win and they're going to make it to the championship game. And that's just me thinking like I know what this team is capable of. But I'm going to go based off of what I've seen recently. I really, honestly, if they don't make it to the semis, I wouldn't be shocked. So
keep your expectations low and you can't be disappointed, right?
yeah. So that's where I'm at. Christian, what about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty optimistic about it too. I don't know exactly how it's gonna turn out, like who they beat and lose to. But I'm gonna say they make it to the final and face Tennessee. I think, they got a huge chip on their shoulder right now. They know they got to be better, and I think they're gonna rise to the occasion when it matters most. So I think it might be a little ugly at times, but I think they're gonna make it work and get to the final.
Okay. I mean, that's the ideal scenario, Arkansas, Tennessee. Like that's what we want. But I don't know. I'm excited to watch Tennessee play in person though. That's just one. Like I want to see Ben Joyce throw. That's what I want to see. We're gonna have to go to every Tennessee game and just hope that they throw Ben Joyce.
I will be at the ballpark all day, every day. I don't know about you, but
Christian, you're a big Ben Joyce guy, aren't you?
Oh yeah, huge Ben Joyce fan.
Is
I
that
don't know
because you
what.
like velocity or what?
Oh yeah, I love the velo, and I'm a huge Red Sox fan, so I'm like hoping like somehow they just pick him up late in the later rounds or like third or fifth round.
Yeah, as long as he goes anywhere but the Royals, because all of their pitchers just terrible. Like Brady Singer, best pitcher in college baseball at Florida, and now he's with the Royals. He's actually done really well his past two outings. But it's like if you want your baseball career to just go down the drain, just get drafted by the Royals. And you'll be good. I don't know. Andrew Benintendi's having a good season.
I seem to recall a tweet from one Mason Choate earlier this season that said the floor of the team is the World Series.
Yeah,
You guys got Bobby Witt. You got Bobby Witt too.
Yeah, Bobby Witt, Bobby Baseball.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think the floor of the Royals is worst team in baseball, and I think the ceiling is like second worst team in baseball right now. So that's where we're at.
He's shifted his expectations a little bit.
Yeah, but this is a college baseball podcast, not a Major League Baseball podcast, guys.
Yeah, we'll save that for our other pod. Yeah.
At least the Royals didn't trade away their two best players to the best team in baseball.
At least that best team in baseball didn't win.
Okay, there you go. Way to have a good mindset about it. Okay. Anything else? I mean, like, I think this is one of those scenarios. Like, my wife has been talking to me saying, when do you think you'll be home? Do you think you'll be home by Saturday or Friday? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just a wait and see thing. And we can sit here and try to predict all these games. But I mean, it's like fantasy football. You could start, I don't know, blank player as your wide receiver 1, and then he goes and scores 1 point, or he can catch 3 touchdowns and you win. So that's what this is like.
The beauty of it all is watching it unfold, and I'm glad that we're gonna get to do that live.
Yes. I'm sorry, Christian. I just feel bad when I say every time I say Robert and I are going to Hoover and Christian's right there. I'm sorry, man. Okay, before we go, I want to remind you about Matt Morris State Farm. That's where you can go to get great rates. Not only are they great, they're like surprisingly great because they're that good. You're just shocked. I was shocked because I looked at quotes from other places, and then I go to State Farm and they're like, we can do it for this price. And I'm like, that is so much cheaper than everywhere else. So if you want your cheap rates, if you want to get discounts for driving safe, if you're a student, if you want a good student discount for having good grades, go to State Farm, and you can go to Matt Morris State Farm. He's a U of A alum. So you know that you're getting someone who can connect with you. You're a Razorback fan. He's a Razorback fan. So call him at 501-568-3222 for your surprisingly great rates today. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants are subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. Thank you, Matt Morris State Farm.
And if you're in Central Arkansas and need some landscaping projects done, call up Southern Lawn Service. They specialize in landscape maintenance for apartment complex communities and industrial sites. They've got landscape projects for residential and commercial projects of all sizes. There's Mowgli Mason's cat. I don't know if everyone could see that on the YouTube there. He's kind of fading like me yesterday, but
I'll talk so you can see my face. Hold on.
There he is.
Okay, sorry.
Southern Lawn Service. If you need bulk landscape supplies, mulch, dirt, gravel, landscape rock, or sod, they've got you covered. They do drainage solutions, new installs, landscape remodel, landscape design, hardscapes such as retaining walls and paver patios. If you need any of those things or anything else, go see them on site. They're located at 1 Lee Road in Conway, Arkansas, or you can give them a call at 501-514-3463. Thank you to our friends at Southern Lawn Service.
Okay, guys, we got a busy week. Hopefully we're doing an episode Wednesday, an episode Thursday, and an episode Saturday, and an episode Sunday. That would be ideal, but to be determined.
You're listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
All right, we didn't mention this when we started recording because we weren't 100% positive, but we secured an interview with the hottest name in Razorback baseball. So here is Will McEntire.
The Diamond Hogs podcast is the premier Razorback baseball podcast.
All right, we now welcome on Razorback relief pitcher Will McEntire. Will, do you know that you're like the hottest name in Razorback baseball right now?
I really don't think about stuff like that. I just try and focus on playing.
Okay. Well, I've really enjoyed watching you this second half of the season, but I want to ask you, early on in the season, it was a little tough for you because you weren't really getting any innings. So just your mindset early on in the year when you weren't able to get out there and live games, and then to go from that to where you're at now. And I mean, you just started a game in Alabama. How's that feel?
Felt great. It wasn't the result I was planning for, but we won the game. That's all that matters, really.
So early on in the year, was that kind of tough for you, or did you just put your head down and just grind?
It was tough not getting to play right away or getting the opportunity after redshirting last year, but I knew if I just kept working hard, I'd get the chance eventually.
Was there like something specific that it was where you had to get better at this one thing and then they'll start to trust you, or was it just the bullpen was just full?
I think it's just there's so much talent here that, sometimes a guy gets lost in the mix. And I mean, managing a bullpen like ours, it's a tough job to do, I bet.
Yeah, so that's kind of the thing about Arkansas is, I mean, it's just loaded with talent year in, year out. You see guys transferring in, transferring out, guys that sometimes you think this guy's really talented. Why isn't he playing? But, ahead of him, there's a lot of really good guys. What is it about Arkansas that they're able to bring in that, high quality talent year in and year out?
It's just a winning culture. I'm from Arkansas, and as long as I've known, Arkansas baseball has been one of the top tier programs, and guys come here with the intent to compete for a national championship. So that's probably a really big recruiting tool.
So you're out of Bryant. I'm a Conway guy, so it's kind of unfortunate that you're from Bryant, but I'll let it slide this time. We had Evan Lee on the podcast, and I told him, I basically trashed him for being from Bryant, but I won't do that to you this time, even though Bryant illegally recruits players. It's not a big deal. Were you illegally recruited?
I'm Bryant, born and raised, man.
Okay.
Biggest fans of Conway either.
Yeah. Well, hey, Conway doesn't break the rules, but that's probably why they lose every year. So it's not a big deal. But being from Bryant, was it just always a dream to go to Arkansas for you?
It wasn't always a dream. I honestly, playing high school baseball, I didn't really know if I had the talent to move on to a level of SEC baseball, but I was given an opportunity to come up here my freshman year and pretty much just said, screw it. I'll give it my best shot. And if it doesn't work out, I can go to a JUCO and see what happens from there.
Yeah. I remember your freshman year. It was, what was the team that you guys played last before everything shut down? Was that Grand Canyon or Gonzaga? I can't remember. Grand Canyon. I remember you pitching. You started a game against Grand Canyon, right?
Yes,
I remember watching that and you looked really good. How hard was that to go from that outing where you're like, okay, this is good. I just started a game. I did well. And then, I mean, what was it? Next day, everything was just crazy.
It was crazy. I remember I was actually like made the travel roster we were about to head to Mississippi State, and I was excited. I would, going in the fall, not sure what my future would be at the program because there's so much talent here. And It's just that I'm so happy I made the roster, and I was on my way to the airport with my suitcase, and I got the text, and I was like, well, that's very unfortunate.
Yeah. So, and then you go from that. What was the process like between then and then getting ramped up for the next season? You didn't really know what it was like. Were you still in Fayetteville? How was it as far as like training goes? Because you guys weren't allowed into the facilities, right?
We really weren't for a while. So I went home for the most of the summer, and then I came back up here and lived with a teammate. And there was what was it called? The Perfect Timing League up here.
Oh yeah, I remember
I
that.
was on for a couple weeks in the summer, and I did that. And by then, they were allowing us to work out at the facilities, but it was very strange because they had to move our entire weight room into our hitting facility, so there was enough space for all of us. So it was a very strange environment.
Yeah. And then as far as last season, your redshirt season, did they tell you like before the year, hey, we're gonna redshirt you, or how did that all go down where they made the decision of you're gonna redshirt this year?
That whole red shirt thing, I will say, is on my part. Is I did not come back in the spring fully in shape. I kind of let myself go, and I just had to put my head down during that year and work out and lose quite a bit of weight. I think I lost 25 pounds.
Wow. So was that I remember before this year it was a big thing with Connor Nolan. Apparently he was in the best shape of his life. You're saying you lost a lot of weight. Was that just you individually, or was that like a pitching staff thing?
I For me it was individually. I If you saw pictures of me last year and a picture now, I lost a little bit of weight down in the belly area.
Yeah. Well, congratulations. Good for that. What as far as going from that to this year, how has your mindset changed? Because you said, you came in, it was your fault. That's why you got redshirted. And now this year, I mean, as we talked about earlier, you weren't pitching a lot earlier. So was it another situation where it's like, I got to figure this out so I can get out and start pitching?
It was sort of like that. I didn't really have the best fall, and I just wanted to stick it out for the spring. I didn't really want to transfer. I knew I could, if I got the opportunity, I could run with it. So I just decided to just hit it hard in the weight room, and I've gained a lot of strength, I feel like, and explosiveness, and it's resulted in my fastball from being in the upper 80s to now I can sort of say I kind of sit in the 90s now.
Yeah. So now fast forward to where we're at. Actually, I guess go back a week or so. Dave Van Horn said he made that decision that you're going to start last Thursday earlier on in the week. How did that conversation go? Did he like bring you in and say, "Hey, we're going to start you," or how did that situation happen?
He didn't really tell me personally. I heard it from Coach Hobbs, but I was just in the weight room working out, and he just comes up to me and just kind of talks to me and just says, "You're starting Thursday. Get your mind right." So
And what was your reaction? I mean, were you excited that it's your first ever SEC start?
I was excited. I mean, a little bit of nervousness, but that went away pretty quickly. But I just knew I need to do my best to help my team because it's a big series.
Yeah. So Coach Hobbs, what's the relationship like with him, and what do you think of him? Because it seems like he's done a great job of developing pitchers here at Arkansas.
I think he does a great job. He can be tough at times, but when he's tough, it's when he needs to be tough, and that's the kind of coaching I really appreciate. Is a guy who will be on you when you need to be. He needs to get on to you.
So with the pitching staff, I feel like there's a lot of characters. We've had Zebulon Vermillion on. I mean, we didn't realize how weird of a guy he was until he came on and talked to us for a little bit. And then we've had Matt Goodhart on, and he's told us the craziest stories about Kevin Kopps. What's that pitching staff group like? I mean, you guys real close to each other, or is it a lot of competition?
Oh, the pitching staffs are really close. We can all mess around and make fun of each other and be competitive at the same time. So it's a really good group of guys.
You have maybe a best friend on the team, or I like to ask the question of who you live with. I think that's always like an interesting thing of what athletes get paired up living together. Are you living with a teammate right now?
I live with Miller Kleiman.
Miller Plyman. Okay, cool. So do you also stay with him when you're on the road as well?
No, I room with he's not in here right now. I room with Zach Morris on the road.
Zach Morris. Okay. He's having a season, man. What do you think about his season?
He's doing fantastic.
What's it about with him? I feel like he's kind of got, the same thing about as you this year where, in previous years, he hasn't gotten a whole lot of innings, but this year he's really turned it on.
I think he's just developed really well, and he's got a really good splitter that I think he gets a lot of guys out with.
Yeah. Well, what do you do off the field? Because I mentioned Vermillion. I mean, what does that guy not do off the field? Are you kind of just like a laid back guy, like just chill, or what?
Yeah, I play a lot of video games, really.
Like what?
Currently right now, loaded up on MLB The Show. I'm very competitive game.
For real?
Very competitive.
Are you on Diamond Dynasty? Is that what you're doing?
Right now, yep.
Okay. What's your team overall?
92.
And was that a PS5 controller?
It's Zach's PS5.
Okay.
PS5 because I don't have one.
I'm an Xbox guy, so it's unfortunate. That's the good thing about the show, though. You can play cross-platform online. You know that?
Yeah, started last year, I think.
Okay. I've been playing Road to the Show. I got a guy. I'm a left fielder. I just got called up to AAA. You play Road to the Show?
Road to the Show gets boring to me. I like playing against other people, and I play a lot of ranked seasons.
How do you have the time to build up your Diamond Dynasty? I don't even have the time to do it.
I'd always have like 8 a.m. classes, and we don't have practice till like 2. So as soon as I get back from class, that's what I do until it's time for lunch or practice.
Gotcha. What's your major?
Marketing.
So what do you want to do with that?
I did want to start my own like marketing firm, but my aunt works for a company in China that's like supplies pet products to Walmart. So she said she could hook me up with that if I really needed a good job, like in beginning level job.
So did you want to do like sports marketing or just marketing in general?
Sports marketing is like the goal, and then it's like, working with like a major league team or any professional team and working on their marketing stuff.
But I'm assuming like your goal is to make it to the big leagues before that happens, right?
Oh, that's always the dream for any baseball player, I feel like.
So do you prefer being a starter, or do you like coming out of the pen, or what?
I prefer either. Starter, I feel like I've had lots of experience at that, and for being a reliever, I love being a reliever just because I can come in for however long they need me, and I can just go full tilt.
Okay, so I don't have a whole lot more for you, Zach, or not Zach. I was thinking of Zach Morris. You got me stuck on Zach. Will, as far as this postseason run goes, do you spend a lot of time on social media?
I try to avoid it. I'll be on it for maybe an hour a day.
Okay. So, what's out there right now about your team.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. What is the mindset with you guys? Because I talked to a couple of family members of players, and I've heard, and so, you tell me if I'm wrong. I've heard that you guys are a little pissed off after Alabama and you're ready to go. So is that true? And you're about to play tomorrow or Wednesday in Hoover. What's the mindset of the team?
Just go at it, run through a brick wall, and beat somebody real bad.
Does it feel kind of like it's just a new season? Throw everything out the window. We're starting a new season right now.
Just hit the reset button.
Yeah.
We're only guaranteed 2 games in Hoover, and after that, you're not really guaranteed much. You got to win every ball game.
And then I guess this will probably be my last one, because this has been a topic that a lot of people have talked about, is whether or not you guys are going to host a regional or a super regional. As far as from a player perspective, a team perspective, do you care about that? Because, there's always an advantage to play at home. You want to play in front of your home crowd at Baum Walker. But if you have to go on the road for a regional and or a super regional, is that a big deal?
I don't think so. I think it's baseball. You can beat anybody on any given day.
Okay. I like that mindset. Will McEntire, Bryant native. Like I said, we're going to ignore that. But thank you for your time today, man.
Thank you.
All right.
You're listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast with Mason Choate and Robert Stewart.
All right, Robert, you're our resident weather guy. You got on to me early on in the episode for saying that they would play at 9:30, but weather's going to happen. So why don't you just, all your expertise from meteorology school, just tell us what's going to happen with the weather.
Big M meteorologist, as they say.
Yeah.
So Tuesday, we're looking at a low of 65, high of 82 in Hoover with a 60% chance of thunderstorms. Looking like, I mean, we're recording this Monday morning early. So it's looking like at this time, there may be a window to start game one Tuesday. Wednesday, the rain looks like it's going to be worse, 70% chance of thunderstorms. And then Thursday, there is 100% chance of storms. So between Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, they're supposed to play 12 games. I don't see that happening.
Wow. It's just like not ideal, man. Every time we go on a trip to see baseball happen, it's just weather does not work with us.
For those of you who forgot, our last trip was to Round Rock, and that was a cold and rainy nightmare.
Yeah. I think the positive that comes out of this is all I've been hearing from people who've been to Hoover, Alabama, is how hot it is during the SEC tournament every year. So at least we're not going to have to deal with like the blazing hot sun. I mean, we'll probably have to deal with humidity, but other than that, I think it'll be good as far as temperature goes.
Yeah. Excuse me. It doesn't say that it'll get above 90 the whole time we're supposed to be there. So there's that.
Nice.
And like I said, they're supposed to play 12 games Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I believe only 4 are scheduled for Friday, Saturday. So there's plenty of time for makeups. I think they should be able to get all the games in as planned. Maybe need to prepare for some double headers, but that's the way it goes.
Okay. Real quick, I wanted to talk about well, I mentioned it earlier, what Arkansas was projected to be in as far as postseason. They were projected to be in the Stillwater Regional. That would include Oklahoma State as the 1 seed and the 15 seed overall, Arkansas as the 2, Louisiana Tech as the 3, Davidson as the 4. I feel like that's a better draw than if they were to host a regional in Fayetteville from what we've been seeing. Like,
and get Texas.
Yeah. You don't think so, Christian?
I mean, I want to see Texas, but no, yeah, that's definitely an easier one to go right there.
Yeah, I think it is an easier draw because you were looking at Texas, SEMO, and Louisiana Tech. So you still get Louisiana Tech, but I haven't watched enough Oklahoma State baseball to be an expert on them, but I know Texas scores runs, so I don't know.
Yeah, that might not be compatible with Arkansas pitching, but I mean, all things considered, it could be worse. Like a 3-hour trip for Arkansas fans, I think they'll make it.
Yeah. If you're talking about locations that you have to travel to, you're right. That's a good location to travel to. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us. Want to remind you again about Matt Morris State Farm. You can call him at 501-568-3222 if you're in the Central Arkansas area and you're looking for great rates on your car insurance. And I'm telling you, I've told you all episode, but it is worth it. If you do things right, if you get good grades, if you're a student, if you drive well, you get graded for driving. If you drive well, just stay off your phone and don't go over the speed limit. It helps with your rates. So you get that when you use State Farm, and you need to call Matt Morris State Farm because he's a U of A alum and he will connect with you well. 501-568-3222. Individual premiums will vary by customer. All applicants subject to State Farm underwriting requirements. Robert, go ahead.
And the good folks at Southern Lawn Service serve the greater Central Arkansas area, specializing in landscape maintenance for apartment complex communities and industrial sites. Any sort of residential or commercial projects that you need done, they've got you covered. They've got drainage solutions, new installs, landscape remodel, landscape design, hardscapes such as retaining walls and paver patios. And if you need bulk landscape supplies, they've got those too: mulch, dirt, gravel, landscape rock, or sod. If you need any of those or more, go see them at One Lee Road in Conway, Arkansas, or give them a call. Their number is 501-514-3463.
All right. Well, we will talk to everybody with our post-game episode after the first game at 9:30 on Wednesday, scheduled for 9:30.
Hopefully 9:30 Wednesday.
Hopefully. We will talk to everybody after that. And thank you for listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast.
You've been listening to the Diamond Hogs podcast. Follow the guys on Twitter at Choate Mason and at drstew32.